Assalamualaikum and hi to Dr. Amira and my fellows. We are from Group 2B and we are going to present about our group progress on mini project assessment entitled You Reap What You Sow. Before we start the presentation, I would like to introduce our group members. They are TENG, KWAN Wangit, Chan Jaki, Muhammad Haiqal Iqbal bin ZULKIFFLEE, and me myself, Muhammad IDHAM bin Abdul Aziz. Basically, this mini project required a group of students to grow a plant in a variety of parameters such as types of soil used, different pH level, the absence of soil organisms which are with and without worm, use of organic and inorganic fertilizer, and use of compost. OKRA plan was given to our group for this mini project. Without wasting any time, let's start our presentation starting from week 1. For the germination process, Chan Jaki was volunteering herself to soak and germinate the okra plant's seed. The germination process took place in 2 days with dark and room temperature condition. Interestingly, okra seed turns water into red. After doing some research, the color might come from anthocyanins, which is a natural plant pigment, and there is a possibility that this type of plant is red okra. So that's all for week 1. Let's move on to our next presenter.
Now I'm going to talk about sand soil under parameter of soil types. Sand soil is a type of soil with weak structure or no structure, low in nutrients and have a poor water retention property. I've planted 2 okra seedlings during the start of week 2 as the germinated seedlings have sand soil under parameter of soil types. Sand soil is a type of soil with weak structure or no structure, low in nutrients and have a poor water retention property. I've planted 2 okra seedlings during the start of week 2 as the germinated seedlings have sprout out and grow bigger and stronger, up to around 6 cm tall. But unfortunately, the okra seedlings were dead during week 3, and the reason may be the okra seedlings might not get enough water or the sunlight is too strong for them as most of the day during that week was a big sunny day. During week 3, I had taken the leftover seeds from one of our group members, Jachi, and start to germinate the seed all over again during week 4 and week 5. I had planted the seedlings into sand soil again during the early of week 6, and the okra seedlings were growing well and grew up to around 6 cm tall. The okra seedlings was growing well and had grown up to around 6.3 cm tall during week 7, and while in week 8, the okra seedlings had grown up to around 6.6 cm tall.
Now I'm going to talk about the clay soil, which is under the parameter of soil type. This type of soil has small pore spaces and they have high ability to hold water when compared to other soil types. This type of soil have poor drainage of water, it will shrink well in dry conditions and it will swell in wet conditions. In the beginning, I planted 2 germinated seedlings of okra into the clay soil and it died 3 days after being planted into the soil. While in week 6, I planted another 2 new seedlings into the clay soil. Then the same thing happened in which the seedlings died after 2 days after being planted into the clay soil. The seedlings died with a height of 6.1 cm.
Hi, I will continue the part for the parameter of soil pH. From this project, I have been used loamy sand as my soil sample. First, the material, which was Dr. Amira's okra seeds, and the necessary equipment such as seedling bags, pots, and soil digging tools were prepared. In week 1, all of the okra seeds were placed in a container with tissue paper and soaked in 5 ml of running water. This is because all okra seeds breed together and contribute to accelerate germination at the same time. When the seeds were soaked in water, they turned the water reddish. The container was then put in a dark, room temperature, well-ventilated location. Once per day, the tissues, paper, and water were replaced. The soil was gathered from the grassland in front of the Mamau Biologi Umum University Malaysia Terengganu as the main material. The roots and leaves were extracted from the ground and leave in. In week 2, the recently germinated okra seeds were delivered to other group members. The seeds were placed in a soil. A DIY self-watering system was built. At week 3, the AZIZ synthetic vinegar and alkaline dolomite were added to the 2 pots to alter the pH level. The only pot left will be the neutral. The soil pH level was determined to be acidic 6.31, neutral 6.64, or alkaline 7.04. At week 4, the stalk of the okra plants began to expand. Some wood sticks were placed into the mud and thin threads were knot around the stick and the stem of the okra plants. This served as a support for the plant's vertical development. The watering and sunbathing of the okra plants was done on a regular basis from week 2 to week 8. From week 1 through week 8, observation data and results were collected. Each sprout of the okra plants had reached roughly 6 cm in height by week 3. For each shoot, at least 2 fresh green leaves were generated. As a result, the plants can perform photosynthesis and development more rapidly. At week 4, the plant in neutral soil had grown to 6.5 cm in height, whereas the plants in the other soil, which contain chemical compounds such as artificial vinegar and dolomite, has grown to 6 cm in height. By week 5, each plant in acidic, neutral and alkaline soil had grown to a height of 7 cm. When it came to week 6 and 7, the okra plants in neutral soil had grown to a height of 7.5 to 8 cm, whereas the plants in acidic and alkaline soil has wilt. This may be connected to the weather. To be certain, okra plants love to thrive in warm conditions. There was little sunshine due to the raining season. Plants are unable to undergo photosynthesis, causing their development to be inhibited. Only plants in neutral soil survived the last week 8 and grew to 8.5 cm in height, the highest of the weeks.
And now I'm going to talk about another parameter, which is the presence of soil organism, and the soil organism that has been chosen for this mini project were earthworms. Earthworms can bring many benefits to the soil, such as increased nutrient availability, provide better drainage and a more stable soil structure. I've planted 2 okra seedlings during the starting of week 2 as the germinated seedlings have sprout out and grow bigger and stronger, up to around 6 cm tall. Because of the parameter that I'm handling is presence of earthworm, I have put around 10 earthworms into the loam soil that I'm going to plant my okra seedlings. But unfortunately, the okra seedlings were dead during week 3, and the reason may be the okra seedlings might not get enough water or the sunlight is too strong for them, as most of the day during the week was a big sunny day. During week 3, I had taken the leftover seed from one of our group members, Jachi, and started to germinate the seed all over again during week 4 and week 5. I have planted the seedlings into the loam soil that contained around 10 earthworms again during early of week 6. The okra seedlings were growing well and grew up to around 8 cm tall. The okra seedlings were growing well and had grown up to around 9 cm tall during week 7, and while in week 8, the okra seedlings had grown up to around 9.6 cm tall.
Organic fertilizer was the parameter that has been used by me, Muhammad IDHAM bin Abdul Aziz. For week 2, the okra seedlings were transferred into a seedling bag and began to sprout. On the 3rd week, the okra plant was growing well and the leaf also began to develop. The okra plant continued to grow and the stem began to elongate during the 4th week. For week 5, 6 and 7, the okra seedling was keep on growing well. For these 3 weeks, the length and the quantity of leaves rising continuously. Unfortunately, the okra plant's growth began to slow down on week 8. This is might due to raining season and the amount of sunlight received is insufficient to promote plant growth. The okra plant only reached around 9.5 cm tall after 8 weeks of planting. That's all from me, and I would like to welcome our next presenter to continue the presentation.
I will talk about the inorganic fertilizer parameter. In week 2, the okra seedlings began to sprout and they were transferred into a poly bag. In week 3, the okra plant was growing, the leaf began to develop. In week 4, the okra plant continued to grow and the stem began to elongate. In week 5 is where I start to put the inorganic fertilizer into the soil. The okra seedling was growing well, the length and quantity of leaf rising continuously. In week 6, the plant with inorganic fertilizer grew faster than the plant in neutral soil. Both are still growing. In week 7, the plant in inorganic fertilizer pot are keep growing consistently, while the plant in neutral pot are slowly wilt. During week 8, the weather is unpredictable. The okra plant's growth in the inorganic fertilizer began to slow down. At the end of the week, the okra plant is around 8.7 cm tall. The plant in neutral pot is died and will germinate new seed.
The compost that I use in this project is food compost. I obtained the food compost from the person in charge, and I mix the compost with the soil and let the soil to set for 2 weeks. This is to let the compost to decompose in the soil and form part of the soil while supplying nutrient to the soil for plant growth. The process of decomposition will release heat, and if I plant the seedling directly after I mix the soil with compost, the heat release may damage the roots of the plant. In the first week, I planted 2 seedlings into a soil. In week 3, the leaves of the soil can be seen became larger. However, in week 4, the plant died because the soil was soaked in rainwater for a long time, so I germinated new seeds to be planted in the soil. In week 6, the germinated seedlings with height of 6 cm was planted into the soil containing compost. During week 7, the height of the plant increased to 7.9 cm, while in the week 8, the plant continued to grow until the height of 9 cm.
After 8 weeks, we measure all the plants had in each of the parameters. For the soil types, in loam soil, the plant grew into 8.5 cm, sand soil 6.6 cm, and clay soil 6.1 cm. Next is the soil organism. The soil organism that have earthworm in it grows into 9.6 cm. In inorganic fertilizer, it goes into 9.5 cm. In soil pH neutral, 8.5 cm, acidic 8 cm, alkaline 6 cm. In organic fertilizer, it goes into 8.7 cm, and last but not least, with its use of compost, which is 9 cm.